Hey guys, I hope everyone is doing well. Here is a question that is sure to be very triggering or to test you. How difficult is it to not hold a grudge or to be bitter from a circumstance or a person? What about a follow-up question? Are you struggling to actually overcome a circumstance or to forgive a person? I know for me in my journey, and I am still working on this. This is a work in progress. This is something that I have not perfected yet, but I felt compelled to actually share my thoughts or my insight on this. I know for me, I am one of those type, I do not have a poker face. If I am salty about a situation or if I was done dirty by a person or, things of that nature, you're going to see it in my face that I really don't like you or I really am feeling some type of way. So what I will say is, if you were slow about providing an answer or answering these questions, chances are you need to watch this video. You should be proud of yourself. For one, you clicked this video. Secondly, you're taking the steps in trying to get a deeper understanding as in why you felt betrayed, or why are you bitter or holding a grudge from a person or a circumstance. Warning, this video can be triggering because betrayal is typically dealing with matters of the heart. It's deeply personal, and a lot of times it just has a very large emotional impact. You have to understand, when it comes to betrayal, it can cause you to have a closed heart chakra. And what I mean by that is, when your heart chakra is closed, it prevents you from having new connections and prevents you from self-healing. I know from my experience dealing with betrayal, one of the first symptoms or side effects from being betrayed is having lack of empathy or compassion. Compassion is the last word on your mind when it comes to when someone is actually betrayed you. That's why it's so easily to hold a grudge or become bitter from a situation, because you're in defense mode. It's almost like you're in fight or flight. You're all about just surviving. You really are not caring about showing compassion to a person or a situation, because you didn't have compassion showed to you. Before I go into how to overcome grudges and bitterness, I want to first just kind of briefly talk about the difference between a grudge and being bitter. When it comes to grudges are actually a direct event or a specific event. And what I mean by, let me just clarify that. It can be a constant feeling of resentment from a past trauma or an incident. I'll give you an example. You can have a friend that borrowed some money from you, but they never repaid it. Even though they apologize, you still are not satisfied with that apology, and therefore you're avoiding that person at all costs. You avoid their phone calls, you avoid hanging out with them, etc. That's an actual grudge, because it started from a specific event that happened. They didn't pay your money back. So that's how grudges are typically, that's what a grudge typically is. Now, when it comes to being bitter is a general consensus about an event or from multiple negative experiences that you have had. And that example can be relationships. You may have had terrible experiences with relationships. They always never end well, or you always end up being hurt, which means that in the future you avoid getting in relationships or getting in serious relationships because the fear of you being hurt. That comes from just being in relationships overall in your past has proven to be a very negative experience, which means that you have become bitter from actually being open to a relationship. Something that I noticed during my experiences of trying to overcome bitterness and grudges is that you have the tendency to become tunnel vision. What I mean by that is you see the negative in everything. You are just at a space where you're so hurt from the situation or the experiences that you've been having, you're unable to see the good in anything. Your walls of protection are up to the ceiling. As the saying goes, you can't see the forest for the trees because that's all you see is just negativity. The process in overcoming is like the training day that you need to become more wise, to be more resilient, and to actually have thicker skin. This is what it looks like. It's not a pretty sight. It just requires you to dig deep and to understand that the things that you want or desire in life, they don't typically come easy. They require a lot of effort and require you to be relentless in what you're trying to get done, which is to overcome, to not have external factors dictate your emotions. Some other side effects that you will get from being bitter or holding a grudge is having a difficult time moving on. You're having strained relationships because you're just at a point where you just don't want to move out of that space at that point in time. And that's normal. Honestly, that is normal for everybody, especially when it's something very tough, such as a betrayal. How to overcome grudges and bitterness is an iterative approach. It requires you to be open to constantly doing tweaks and trying different things to arrive at your desired result. You have to understand that it's not going to happen on your first try or maybe even your fifth try, but it requires you to be being consistent in trying to arrive at the result of overcoming a situation or forgiving a person. If you truly want to become a master at overcoming grudges and bitterness, you must first acknowledge your true feelings and actually understand the root causes of your feelings. A lot of times when you are feeling the emotions you are feeling, they are deep repressed emotions that you typically do not want to acknowledge or you just don't want to deal with. Becoming a master at overcoming bitterness and grudges requires you to do shadow work. Do your shadow work. Do not try to skip over this process. Do not try not to acknowledge the repressed emotions, the traumatic issues that you have put deep in your closet or deep in your psyche to where you don't want to actually do the work to pull those emotions out, to examine them and to acknowledge them. Shadow work is not a bad thing. Shadow work allows you to acknowledge your shadow self, the things that you may not be as proud of. It allows you to bring those shadow emotions to the light and to actually integrate those emotions in your conscious mind. Once you are able to actually unpack all of those different emotions, you will not have the issue of having constant patterns of different things that have been a negative experience in your life to keep popping up in your life because you haven't done the work. You have to do the work on yourself to truly overcome grudges and bitterness. How to overcome grudges and being bitter. Early in my journey, I was dealing with depression and trying to overcome grudges and being bitter. And what I had to learn is that a lot of times when you're trying to get over a betrayal, it's going to take more than just yourself to actually do the overcoming. And what I mean by that is sometimes you just have to get you a very good therapist. You have to find a very good therapist to help you unpack all of these different things that you're trying to deal with when it came to trying to understand why is it so difficult for you to move on from a situation or to even forgive a situation. It takes a mentally strong person to be up for the challenge when it comes to overcoming grudges and being bitter, because it is requiring you to become vulnerable. And you have to do that in a very truthful way, because you're hurting. And when people are hurt, they tend to get very defensive. It's like you're almost being from an open hand to a closed fist. That's what I use the analogy, because when you're a closed fist, you can't allow in any new circumstances or any new relationships or any new points of view that will help you get to the point where you're ready to move past a situation. When you take the path of healing instead of hurting, you're going to change the trajectory of your life. And that's what I had found in therapy. It took for me to go to therapy to realize that I want to take a different path instead of being angry all the time. When you're angry all the time, it's very tiring. It requires a lot of energy to stay angry, full of hatred, or just being upset all the time. So that is what prompted me to actually look at a different option. I know they have the saying, hurt people, but also look at it from a different perspective. Heal people or can heal people. Truly overcoming bitterness and grudges yields some of the biggest life lessons. What you have to understand is that when it comes to grudges and being bitter, those are actual teachers. Those emotions are teaching you something about yourself that you either didn't know or you're not acknowledging or ignoring. So you have to understand that in order for you to grow and to move up and to level up in life, you have to get those life lessons. If not, you're going to find these same life lessons repeating themselves all throughout your life in different areas of your life. You want the whole goal of actually working through grudges and bitterness is to actually do the work internally so you can actually mirror the reflection of what you're trying to get back. You want to receive compassion, you want to receive love, you want to be happy, you want to be free. Those are the emotions that you want to receive. So in order for you to receive those emotions, you have to be the reflection of what you're wanting to demonstrate. How to overcome bitterness and grudges. You have to understand that you have to change your perspective. Instead of thinking that a bitter circumstance or a grudge is happening to you, it's actually happening for you. There is always beauty in the madness. You can always find beauty in some of the most strangest or the most hurtful situations. It's, as I said earlier, it's showing a deeper issue that you need to heal from or you need to acknowledge. Your reality is actually a mirror to the things that you need to heal from in order to move forward in your life. So the next time that you decide to hold a grudge or deal with the being bitter, you always ask yourself, what is it that this situation is trying to show me? Well, I'm hoping that everything that I've said in this video is very helpful. I hope you gain some insight and better understanding in exploring how to actually heal or overcome bitterness and grudges. So you guys take care. I hope you have a good day.